Hello, I'm Angélique from filmpourvitre.com. Today I'll show you how to apply a window film with simple and professional tips. This method works for all types of window films, whether decorative, solar or security, and whether adhesive or electrostatic. Note that only films labeled for dry application are not covered by this tutorial. A quick tip before starting your film installation, I recommend watching this video all the way through once. Before installing, check two things: the application conditions and your equipment. Regarding the application conditions, there are 3 rules to follow. Do not apply in high heat, freezing conditions or extreme wind. The ideal temperature for applying a film in good conditions is between 10 and 28 degrees. And for a smoother application, I recommend having 2 people, especially for removing the protective liner. For applying my film, here are the accessories I'll need for the installation: a soapy solution, a spray bottle, scraper, which I'll need to get ready by flipping the blade so it's sharp and effective for the job. Next, I have a squeegee that I'll need to assemble before using it to help smooth things out. And finally, I'll be using a smoothing tool, which is really helpful for making sure everything is applied evenly, and the utility knife with a fresh blade. Some useful extras can make the application easier: a clean microfiber cloth, paper towels, water, and a tablespoon to measure the soap. If you ordered by the linear meter, you'll also need to have a tape measure. If you're applying a thicker security type film, I recommend using a good squeegee with a firm grip and more rigidity to make the application easier. To start off right, I'm going to prepare my soapy water solution. To do this, I'll mix 2 tablespoons of soapy solution into my spray bottle, to which I've added 500 milliliters of water. This soapy water solution will allow us to clean the glass and also neutralize the film's adhesive during application. If you ordered a film already pre-cut to exact dimensions, you can go straight to the cleaning step. If you ordered your film by the linear meter, you'll need to cut it to the dimensions of your glass. To do that, we start by carefully measuring the window. To measure correctly, I always use a tape measure. If we're applying the film to the outside of the glass, we'll measure the outside of the glass. If, on the other hand, we're applying the film to the inside, we'll take the measurements from the inside. Here I'm going to measure the clear part of the glass, which is the transparent part excluding the seals. For both height and width, I take measurements at 2 different points and always keep the larger dimension. If you ordered by the linear meter, I recommend adding 3 centimeters to the dimensions of your windows. Important, if you have to apply film to several windows, above all, don't hesitate to take the dimensions individually. For example, behind me, it might look like these 2 windows are identical. But think again, in terms of width, they're more than 2.5 centimeters apart. Once the dimensions are checked, I cut my film using my cutter and my ruler on a flat, clean surface, not forgetting to add my 3 centimeter margin. Be careful, before cutting my film, I make sure I have a cutter with a new blade to avoid any snags when cutting. Now that everything is ready, we can start applying the film pour vitre. To start the installation, we're going to go through the cleaning stage. Be careful, this step is an important moment for the success of your film application. To do this, you'll need to carry out this step in 2 stages. First, cleaning with the scraper, and second, cleaning with the squeegee. To start, I spray the soapy solution over the entire window. And with the scraper, I scrape from the center outwards. Finally, I finish this first cleaning by wiping the frames of my window with a clean microfiber cloth. For the second cleaning, I spray my soapy solution over the entire window again. This time I'm going to use my squeegee to push the water from the center to the edges of my window. And as with the first cleaning, I dry the window frames again with a clean microfiber cloth. My window is now ready. All I have to do is find the protective film on my film pour vitre. In fact, all our films, without exception, have a protective film to be removed before application. To locate the protective film, you can fold the film back on itself. If it slips, it's the protective film. On the other hand, if it's rough, it's the film part. At Film pour vitre, we always add a sticker to identify the protective film to be removed. To separate my protective film, I unroll my film on a clean flat table. Next, I place 2 pieces of tape on each side of my film, in a corner that I'm going to smooth down firmly. I'll then separate my 2 pieces of tape so I can separate my protective film from my film. Once this step is done, I'm going to spray my soapy water onto my protective film to prevent it from sticking back onto my film. It's the side that was protected by the protective film that we're going to stick against the window to apply the film. Before going any further, I check that my sprayer is full. Now, with a second person, we're going to dampen our fingers so as not to mark the film. Then I'll be able to lift my film by the corners while the person with me removes the protective film, while generously spraying the film. Careful, the glass and the film must be completely and abundantly wet. Once that's done, I position my film on the glass using the top left corner as a guide. If the film doesn't slide easily, I can add more soapy solution between the film and the glass. Pro tip, it's better to use too much soapy solution than not enough. Now that my film is in place, before smoothing it out, I'll dampen the film to help the squeegee glide. To push out water and air with my smoothing tool, I'll make a central strip from top to bottom. Then I continue with horizontal strokes from the center towards the edges. The goal is to remove as much water as possible. If the film overlaps slightly, don't pull it off. I'll show you how to trim it back. Wait, before doing this, make sure you have a brand new utility knife blade. To trim, I place my smoothing tool against the seal and use the knife to cut away the excess film. Once finished, I pull the scrap away and then press the film back down again. After this step, we can move on to the finishing touch, which is the drying. To do this, I'll wrap my squeegee in clean paper towels and go over it from the center to the edges. If there are no bubbles or tunnels, the installation is complete. Now let's see what's normal after installing a film por vita and what isn't. If a corner peels slightly or a tunnel appears at the edge of the film, don't worry. In most cases, it simply means the film is touching the window seal. The fix is simple. I'll slightly trim the excess film touching the seal and smooth it again with my squeegee. The day after your film installation, you might see some water bubbles appear, and that is completely normal. The film will continue to tighten naturally over the next few days. That's why we advise you not to touch your film for about 4 weeks, to give the film enough time to dry completely. However, if you see a bubble with a small black dot inside, it's likely a speck of dust. In this case, it means the glass wasn't perfectly clean when you applied your film. Unfortunately, this dust cannot be removed after the fact, but it will become almost invisible from over 2 meters away over time. So I repeat, cleaning is essential for a flawless result. There you go, you now know how to apply a film por vita like a pro. Find all our tips and tutorials on our YouTube channel or on our website filmporvitra.com. See you soon.